Hey there, beautiful bride. I'm Jillian Rosich Kendrick, founder of My Best Wedding and MyWeddingPlanningCourse.com. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight on Wedding Wednesday. I'm so excited to be here with you and to be joining you in your wedding planning process. I hope you're having an amazing time wedding planning, and I hope you're having a fabulous, fabulous Wednesday. So today, if you noticed, the topic on Wedding Wednesday here tonight is actually how to word your invitations. And I want to do a quick thank you and humongous shout out, mwah, big love, hugs and kisses out to over 90 brides. I think it was 91, I think might have been our final number, but over 90 brides responded to the questionnaire that I had put out saying, hey, what can I help you with? What can I do for you? What do you need? Like, let's talk about it. Let's, start a conversation. And to those brides that put other and then put no other details, I am giving you an opportunity now to respond or edit your message and write in those details, because just saying other isn't helpful. I could say, I have a pain in my foot, is it this disease, that disease? And if I say other, well, that doesn't get me any closer to a cure, right? The same thing in life with wedding planning, the same thing with everything in life, is that if you just say, well, it's other, then I don't know what that means, right? I don't know what's in your head. I don't know how I can help you. And the reason for me creating that survey and the reason for me to reach out to you was because I am in the process right now of finalizing my website, revamping some stuff, and actually getting new content out there. And so if you are able to share with me exactly what you need and exactly what you want, I'm able to then take that information and say, okay, Ashley said she needs this, and Brittany says she needs that, and Monica needs this, and whomever else needs something else, and I'm able to specifically pinpoint exactly who needs what and why, and then I can take that information and I can build trainings, and I can build courses, and I can build material and online content to put out to you to help you with the wedding planning process. So just one more time, a reiteration, any bride who wrote other for that survey, I would strongly encourage you, really, this helps me a lot, but it helps you even more than it helps me. Go ahead and take the opportunity to edit that message or respond again to that message and just let me know specifically what other thing you're looking for in terms of help with wedding planning. And that truly, it helps me a lot, but it helps you even more, right? So I encourage you to do that. And if you would like to private message me and go over more details more privately rather than, responding to 90 some odd people, then go ahead and feel free to do that as well. I would love to hear from you and hear your feedback. So if you're watching tonight live on Facebook Live, go ahead and write down what your name is and who you are, where you're from, maybe when your wedding date is, and I would love to hear from you. Awesome. So one amazing thing that came out of that survey from yesterday, and by the way, if you're watching this later and you're not watching it live, please feel free to go and scroll down on the Facebook page, find that survey and respond to it again, or respond to me in a private message. Like, I am more than happy and more than willing to get your feedback and to go over that with you. But what I really loved was the response was amazing. So again, thank you so much. It was wonderful. But really the top request that I saw was, how do I word wedding invitations? How do I figure out wedding invitations? How do I word them? How do we do design? Where do I get them printed? Do I do them myself? Do I, that sort of thing. So I want to let you know first and foremost, I'm actually in the process of, again, this all goes back to the training that I'm creating and me being able to provide as much valuable content that you want and you need, because, you know, I could create a course that I think is important or that I think is valuable, but it really doesn't matter if it's not something that you need, right? It's not, if it's not going to be valuable to you and you're not going to actually use it, then you're not going to get it, you're not going to buy it, you're not going to like it, you're not going to want it, and then I've wasted my time creating it and you've wasted your time reviewing it. So it truly helps me to help you to have that information. But I am in the process of creating new trainings and new courses for myweddingplanningcourse.com, and one of those things is going to be how do you word wedding invitations. So this video right now is actually kind of a sneak peek, or really sort of a free preview of that course that's going to be coming up. So how do you word wedding invitations? That is the big question. And I want to say real quick, again, relating back to creating training courses and creating things that are valuable for you, things that you want, that you need, that you're going to use, that you're going to be encouraged and inspired by, right? One of the other top answers was, how do you choose a wedding dress? How do you find a wedding dress? And then wording invitations was huge, obviously. And then how to create a seating chart. How do you find a seating chart? How do you create one? So those three topics are really my key topics in terms of creating new content and producing new trainings, is going to be those three. And again, if you have any feedback at all, please respond to that survey, private message me, I don't know, send me like a smoke signal, or maybe one of those messenger birds, or an owl if you're a Harry Potter fan. Let me know, and it really helps me so that I can help you and that I can serve you as best as I possibly can. So how do you word wedding invitations? That is the question. That is the training that we're doing here tonight on Wedding Wednesday. And there's a couple of things. I hope if you're listening to this, I want you to go and grab a pen and paper right now, because you are going to want to take down the information that I'm about to share with you. So I'll give you a second to go do that. But make sure, if you're watching this video later, pause the video now, go and grab a pen and paper, and then come back and press play. But make sure that you have something ready to write with, because if you need to learn how to word your wedding invitations, I have the secret sauce literally right here in my hand, and I want to share that with you tonight. And this is a totally free training, but I am going to be creating a training that will be available later on to purchase on the website at some time coming very, very soon. So that's exciting. All right, pen and paper handy, get ready. Here it is. How do you word wedding invitations? So a wedding invitation has about 6 core pieces, right? Core items that have to be in the wedding invitation itself, have to be written down, have to be part of that language. And so we're going to go over each of those items, what each item means, a little bit of ideas on how you can word or reword things. And I want to say this as not a disclaimer, but an opportunity for you to take some pressure off, right? So I want you to know that there is no right or wrong way to word your invitations. There really isn't. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Now, is there a prettier way to do it? Is there a more elegant, more, I don't know, traditional, sophisticated, you know, all of these sort of adjectives? Is there a prettier, more sophisticated, more elegant maybe way that you can word different things? And I'll share some of those examples with you in just a second. Yes, absolutely. There's always going to be, you know, the English language and many languages is so full of different things that we can, you know, word to mean essentially the same thing. But I want you to, hey Sarah, Hi guys. Mwah. I want you to I want you to feel like the pressure has been released and that burden has been completely taken off of you, to know, hey Amanda, thanks for joining me. Awesome. So I want you to know that the pressure has been taken off, and that extreme burden that I'm sure you're feeling, that I definitely felt when I was planning my wedding and going through, how in the hell do I, sorry Phoebe, my best friend's 3-year-old daughter is watching this and I just cursed. Awesome. How, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling this anxiety, right? Like I always talk about, when you get married, if you do it right, you only do it once. So it's not like you have multiple opportunities. It's not like writing a college paper. Well, you write one when you're a freshman, and then you write your last one when you're a senior, and hopefully within all of those papers you have had an opportunity to progress and to do well and to learn more. When you get married, if you do it right, you do it once. So you feel this enormous, like almost suffocating pressure to get it right, and it has to be perfect, and everything has to be wonderful. Well, I want you to know that it will be perfect and it will be wonderful. And when your guests open the envelope and see your wedding invitation, they're not going to say to themselves, oh my gosh, she didn't say request the pleasure of your company, I'm not going to that wedding. It doesn't matter. They're not going to know what your other edits could have been or would have been or should have been, right? They're not going to know that. So I want you to feel excited and encouraged, and I want you to feel like that burden has been lifted off of you, to know that you don't have to get it perfect, because it will be perfect, because only you are going to know or not know whether or not you, so to speak, picked the perfect wording, right? So again, wedding invitations, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different sections. So the very first section, pen and paper handy, the very first section is going to be what we call the host line, meaning some kind of an opening that usually says, along with their parents, or, Mr. and Mrs. Smith request the pleasure of your company. Mr. and Mrs. Jones request your attendance. You could say, so that would be wording, if that would be like the host line wording, if say you're like the how do I want to put this? The host line is determined by truly the host of the wedding. And the host of the wedding is typically determined by, unfortunately, by who's paying for the wedding. And most often, or traditionally, that's going to be the bride's family, right? The father, mother of the bride. If it's the case that that is different, or if it's the case that your fiance and your family are both contributing financially to the wedding, or if it's the case that only you and your fiance are contributing to the wedding and your parents are not paying for anything, this would be an opportunity to either kind of highlight the fact that your parents have contributed, therefore they are the hosts of the wedding, so to speak, and they, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, request the pleasure of your attendance, the pleasure of your company, requests, that you be in attendance at the wedding of their daughter, at the wedding of their children, or if just you and your fiance are paying for the wedding, you could say, we request the pleasure of your company at our wedding, at our wedding, or at the wedding of Jennifer and Jacob, or whatever you and your fiance's names are. So that's the host line. It's always going to be, we request the pleasure of your company. We would love you to join us. Or if you want to be really creative about it, or let's say you have like a theme of some sort that, you know, you could throw in words that relate to your particular theme, right? Or you know, you could do something like that and really kind of play with it. A more traditional wording would be requests the pleasure of your company, but you could say other things, like if you have, you know, if you and your fiance are really into Harry Potter or Star Wars, or you know, you're religious and you want to put something like that in there, feel free to like throw in words and just make it fun. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. So that would be the host line. The second line is going to be the request or the invitation, right? So Mr. and Mrs. such and such request the pleasure of your company at the wedding of their daughter, and then your name. And then, you know, and then you want to put the names, right? So the names are traditionally, again, traditionally, and it doesn't have to be this way, but traditionally it's bride and then groom. And another quick note on that as well, my fiance and I, or my husband and I, actually paid for the majority of our wedding, he and I. Our parents did both contribute a little bit, but mine more so than his, and it was actually kind of a battle in our house to determine whether his parents should be listed on the host line. I was, oh, my sister's here. Hi, Natch. Love you. I was actually kind of PO'd that his parents really didn't contribute a lot in comparison to me and to him and to my parents, but he still wanted to include them on the host line. And at the end of the day, it was the respectful thing to do to include his parents. I might not have totally been on board or completely agreed with it, but it was the respectful thing to do to show them that. So, hey, Natch. So I want you to also feel encouraged that you might be feeling a little, you know, disgruntled about like the financial inequality of your wedding, but just because that exists doesn't mean that you shouldn't or can't take the high road and make things a little bit better, and you know, and really reach out and show that respect to your parents, his parents, another relative, something like that, you know. So then host line, request of invitation, then the names. Bride typically comes first, and then the groom. If you are in a same-sex, same-gender marriage, you can choose whether you want to do which groom, then groom, or which bride, then bride. It's really up to you. And really that, you know, is so new that there isn't sort of a standard or tradition type thing for it. It can come back down again to who's paying for the wedding, right? You know, if bride one's parents are contributing more than bride number two's parents, then maybe you can, you know, put the first bride's parents or first bride's name first and then second, or, you know, it's up to you. Again, there is no right or wrong. What do you want? And sometimes I know for me, like, I get really indecisive when I have too many decisions, right? Have you ever been to Cheesecake Factory? Have you seen that menu? That menu is like this thick. I either have to go to Cheesecake Factory already knowing what I'm going to order, or I get there, I sit at the table, and I like, menu is so big. So I completely understand that if making a decision because you have too many options gives you, like, stresses you out, girl, I am right there with you. I totally understand. So again, it really is up to you. But after the names is going to come the date. So, you know, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so request the pleasure of your company at the wedding of their daughter, such and such, to, you know, the other bride or groom and groom's name, whoever it may be, at or on, and it's usually going to be at. It's usually the time. Again, traditionally, the way that invitations are written out, it's usually going to be the time, and it should be written out. So if your wedding starts at like 4 or 4:30 in the afternoon, you shouldn't put 4:00 or 4:30. You should actually write in words 4:30 in the afternoon. So request the pleasure of your attendance to their daughter and the groom at 4:30 in the afternoon on the 27th. I'm making up dates, right? But on the 27th of March. Or you could even reverse it and put, request the pleasure of your attendance to so-and-so on March 27th, 2017, 2018, whatever it is, at 4:30 in the afternoon. And don't put AM or PM. Again, traditionally, writing it out in the afternoon, in the morning, in the evening, whatever time your wedding or reception starts, is going to be a more traditional way of writing things out. Then, below that, and really in like another paragraph, so you want to have all of that kind of in one section, and then have kind of a break, or like just hit the enter button, right? Or you want to have another paragraph that has the starting location, the starting location of where everything begins, right? So if you're having a ceremony and a reception, you're going to put the address of the ceremony. If you're having just a reception, you're going to put the address of the reception. If you're having I couldn't imagine, I guess you could do this, but I don't really have really heard of it. If you were doing like the reception, some kind of a reception first, like let's say you were doing like a cake and coffee reception to like say hello to everybody, then you had the ceremony, and then you had like dinner or something like that, you would put the location, even if it's all in the same place, wherever you're starting, wherever the event is starting, wherever your day is starting, be it the same location, reception and venue, a church, an outdoor ceremony, wherever it is, you want to put the address of the starting location. And that address does not have to be, and should not be written out in words. It should be written alphanumerically. So it should say like 123 Main Street, Chicago, Illinois, whatever zip code. And then you want to put, so after that, you want to have another space and then another paragraph, and you want to put what type of party you're having, right? So this really is, again, talking about kind of, let me say this differently. I call this section the party type, or the reception type, or this is an opportunity for you to really let your guests know what's happening, what can they expect, what kind of a party, what kind of an atmosphere, what are they going to get when they come to your wedding. And that's really what this line in the invitation wording is really, really all about. It's about setting the expectations of your guests and really giving them something to look forward to, right? So you want to say something like, reception to follow, dinner, reception to follow, dinner and dancing to follow. My best friend who got married last year, a month after Mike and I got married, she had a cake and coffee only reception. And then we all went out and a few of us went out and stuff. But for everybody who came to her wedding, she only had cake and coffee. She didn't do like a whole big sit down dinner or anything like that. And that's what they wanted. That's what the church could provide, yada, yada. But so in her invitation, it said cake and coffee reception to follow. And it was in like the basement of the church. It was beautiful too. And that church was huge. It was really, really awesome. But so do you understand, like saying, cake and coffee reception to follow? tells your guest, okay, they're not going to provide a meal, so we should probably either eat before going to the wedding or we should plan to go to dinner afterwards. It helps you set the expectations of your guests and help them know, how do I plan? How do I, figure things out? How do I decide, whether or not to go? How do you know to do things like this? And also, it's really good for guests who have kids, because a lot of times the only thing that keeps some kids quiet during a wedding is snacks. And so it actually is really helpful for parents to know this, so that they know like what to pack and what to bring for their kids, and if their kids are going to eventually get food and whatnot. But the party type or party line, again, the wording that you can use is reception to follow, dinner, which I really wouldn't recommend because that's kind of vague, but dinner reception to follow, dinner and dancing to follow, cake and coffee reception to follow, cocktail party and dinner to follow, dinner and dancing to follow, just something like that, which really explains the type of party that you're having and the type of event that you are hosting for your guests. And again, it sets the expectation for the guests. It allows them to get excited and to look forward to your wedding, and it really allows them to know what is happening. Oftentimes, we don't have, we live in a world where not everyone has a Kardashian-sized budget, right? I say this all the time, but we don't live in a world where we can just get anything that we want, nor should we. But and that's okay. But to go to a wedding and expect that there's always going to be a meal, always going to be a this, always going to be a that, is really just kind of going away. It doesn't exist anymore, and that's all right. But you have to know that it doesn't really, that those kind of expectations don't really exist. Know that, accept it, because it's fine. But then understand that party type or party line within the invitation wording is really an opportunity for you to showcase what kind of wedding, what kind of experience you're going to be giving to your guests when they come to attend your wedding. So I really love that piece of it as well. And then again, so we have the host line. I'm just recapping everything that we just talked about, but we have the host line that says, with their parents, along with their parents, or, Mr. and Mrs. Smith request and then the request or the invitation, that's the second part, request the pleasure of your company at the wedding of their daughter or at the wedding of their children. We, along with their parents, we request the pleasure of your company at the wedding. The parents of so-and-so request the pleasure, of your attendance, that sort of thing. And then comes the names, the bride and groom. And again, typically it's bride first, groom second, or whomever's family is paying for the wedding is typically going to be first and then second. And then the date, say, bride and groom on the 27th of March, 2017. And again, all of that should be written out in words, not numerically. And then the time at 4:30 in the afternoon, and again, all of that should be written out alphabetically, not numerically. All of that should be written 27th of March at 4:30 p.m. All of that should be written in words, no numbers, no colons, no nothing. And then that's the first paragraph. Then the second paragraph, and kind of a space in between, is going to be the starting location, where your reception starts, where really where the party is starting. So whether it's a ceremony venue, something like that, you're going to have the actual address, and this can be written alphanumerically and have like 123 Main Street, New York, wherever you're getting married. And then below that is the party type or party line of dinner and dancing, to follow, cocktail reception to follow, etc. So that, my friends, my beautiful brides, is how you can word your wedding invitations. And someone commented in the survey yesterday, and again, to the 91 brides who commented on my survey, thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate it so much. Thank you. And to the ones who wrote other, now's your opportunity to go back and fix that and to add some updates and more details to that. But what was I saying to that? But thank you so much for filling out that survey. And one of the other invitation related questions that I had was actually, where do you get your invitations printed? And obviously, if you open up like the Knot magazine, there's going to be tons of printing companies and printing options. You can go local, you can go national, international, whatever you feel comfortable with. But Mike and I printed our invitations from Vistaprint, VISTAPRINT.com. And actually, if you just Google like Vistaprint coupons, they are constantly, especially around the holidays, if you need invitations like right now, like yesterday, Vistaprint is totally the way to go, because they are constantly running coupons and ads and deals, and the more, you can do all sorts of awesome things. And again, their customer service is amazing. I actually, I'm trying to think. I messed something up on our wedding invitations. Believe it or not, I'm a human being. I screwed something up. I flip-flopped 2 of the numbers in our return address, and I had them print the return address on the backs of all of the envelopes that the invitations went in, and they were all, the same color, same theme, same everything. And I flip-flopped like the 2 and the 0, or the 0 and the 2, or whatever. And so I actually called Vistaprint and said, hey, I'm so sorry, this was entirely my fault. I own the fact that I did this, but I really need your help. I need to get new envelopes printed. This is, for my wedding. And they said, no problem at all. We will pre-print them and ship them out to you like expedited shipping, absolutely free. And I was literally, I was like almost in tears, just so thankful and so grateful that they did that. So they're always running coupons, always amazing customer service. Definitely check out Vistaprint if you are looking for getting your wedding invitations printed soon. So have a fabulous Wedding Wednesday and an amazing evening. Have a blast planning your beautiful, memorable, low-stress wedding of your dreams. As always, I'm here if you need anything or have any questions at all. Feel free to email us at support@myweddingplanningcourse.com. You can also private message me directly right here. And if you have any questions at all, concerns, thoughts, feedback, I would love to hear from you. And I will be making the announcement as to who won the Starbucks gift card in probably tomorrow, I think sometime. I'm going to announce that as well. So have a lovely evening, beautiful bride, and I will see you next week right here on Facebook Live, 7 p.m. Eastern for Wedding Wednesday. Bye.